Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Ask Rob and Rob.
Thank you for joining us on Ask Rob and Rob, the show that's a stable and reliable part of your week. Whatever else is going on in the world, you'll know that you can turn up here on a Tuesday. You'll hear two people asking questions and two other people, that's us two, giving answers. But here's how you could shake things up a bit. What if you were one of the people asking the questions? Well, it's really, really easy to live that dream.
Yeah, you've got two options. You can call in on 013 808 0035. That's 013 808 0035. Or head along to our website, propertyhub.net/ask. That's propertyhub.net/ask. Just get your question in and we'll get answering.
And that's exactly what Marcus has done. So let's have a listen to his question.
Hi Rob and Rob, my name is Marcus. Firstly, I'd just like to say thank you for all the free, well-informed advice that you guys provide. I think you can be really proud of the work you're doing. My position at the moment is I'm 43 years old. I'm in full-time employment. I pay into a company pension scheme where if I pay in a certain amount, they match that amount and put it into a pension. So I'm paying that much into my pension, but not anymore. And I'm kind of having a look at how much money there's going to be in that pension fund when I retire, and that there's really not going to be enough money in there. Ideally, in a best case scenario, I'd be looking to retire in about 15 years, but that could go up to maybe 20 years. And so I'm looking at property as a way of getting more money and a way to get an income stream for myself when I retire. The plan at the moment would be currently looking to move house to a bigger house. I'm married and got 3 kids. And as part of that, when we move house, we would keep our existing property and switch that to a buy-to-let. And then the plan from there would be to build up that property portfolio and get a few more properties, maybe build up a portfolio of 5 to 10 properties by the time I retire. Now, my question was this, because someone pointed out to me with my pension, because I'm a higher rate taxpayer, that I get 40% tax relief on any payments I put into my pension. So it seems like any extra money that I put in there, I've immediately made 40% on before I've done anything else with it. Now, also, I've been listening to your February fundamentals and understand these concepts like leverage and inflation and how that can really make my property portfolio grow quickly. But I guess my question is, given that I can get that 40% tax relief on any extra money I put into my pension, should I be so quick to dismiss paying more money into my pension? And is that a better way to go than investing in property? Well, thanks for listening. Looking forward to hearing your feedback.
Thank you, Marcus. Great question. Lots to get into in there. Of course, you should be talking to a proper financial advisor before taking any decisions about your pension or anything like that. I can just give you some kind of pointers about people in general, but for your own situation, you definitely want to take advice if it's something significant for you. As you've pointed out, the tax relief that you get on pensions is fantastic. So you can be 40% ahead before you've even started. And occupational employer pensions are even better if they will match your contributions or make some kind of contribution. I mean, that is effectively free money. So if they're prepared to match your contributions, then by the time you add that to the tax relief, that's pretty great. That's probably something that you'll want to keep doing. However, there are drawbacks to pensions as well, 2 of which are probably the most significant. The first is you can't get access to them until a certain age. So if you're looking at retiring younger than the normal retirement age, then you'll need to have some other form of income or assets that you can sell or something to tide you over until you can get access to that pension money. So that's a great position to be in if you are looking to retire ahead of the normal age. But it is something that if you are in that position, you'll need to think about. The other is that you are somewhat restricted in the assets that you can hold within a pension. So the most common assets that make up people's pension pots are stocks and bonds. So that means that if the pension is all you've got, if the markets don't perform particularly well, then you can end up with a pension pot that's smaller than you anticipated and not a great deal that you can do about it. That's why diversification is always good. And so if you can get in on property as well, then that could solve both of those problems for you. It gives you that diversification and you can have the income and access the equity at whatever age you like. And normally at this point, I would go off on a big passionate rant about the joys of leverage, but you've already referred to that. You've said you listened to the Fundamentals February episodes. So I won't do that now. But if anyone else listening hasn't listened to those episodes, strongly advise you to do that. You can go to propertyhub.net, put leverage into the search box, and that episode will come up. That really explains why the returns that you can get from leveraged buy-to-let can blow everything else out of the water. In your case, Marcus, you could probably come to some kind of calculation about which is best by taking the expected performance of your pension, which you probably get on a statement every year, comparing that to your expected performance of property with the benefit of leverage, kind of compare the two against each other over a number of years. You can do that. It might be worth doing, but there will, of course, be a lot of variables, which could end up meaning that the results aren't too reliable because there'll be a lot of assumptions in there. So why not try and do both? One thing you mentioned is you're looking to keep your existing family home and turn that into a buy-to-let. And that might be the best thing to do, but it wouldn't surprise me if the return that you get on that as a rental won't be as strong as if you went out to specifically buy a property with buy-to-let in mind. It's just an assumption based on the size of the house and where it's likely to be. There's probably going to be better buy-to-let options out there. So what you could decide to do is sell that property, and there won't be any capital gains tax on there because it's been your own residence, and use that to reinvest in properties that are going to have higher returns, and so get your income up, or where there's the potential for you to add value to those properties and therefore be able to refinance them, pull some money out and build that property portfolio as well as having your pension going on. So lots to think about there. I don't think it's necessarily one or the other. You get people who get very passionate about either just investing in property or going, no, property's rubbish, it's all about pensions because of the tax relief. I think they've both got their merits. And so if you can have the best of both worlds, why not? Okay, let's have a listen to our next question. This one comes in from James.
Hello, Rob and Rob. James here from Leeds. Big fan of the show, and I've got a question for you today. I found a flat that I like the look of. It's a couple of years old in a new development, but it has commonhold tenure. Now, this isn't something that I know anything about, and I just wanted to, if you could shed some light on the pros and cons of whether, as an investor, it's something you should look at buying or steer clear from. Thanks for your help, and keep up the great show.
James, really interesting question. Thank you. And I believe that in the 6 or so years that we've been doing the property podcast, we've never mentioned commonhold before. I think that's the case. I wouldn't be surprised if it was the case, because apparently only about 50 blocks of flats in the whole of the country actually have commonhold as their tenure. It was brought in probably about 10, 15 years ago. It was meant to be an alternative to the leasehold system that's better, and arguably it is better, but it hasn't really caught on. So I'll give you a really basic overview of what commonhold means. What you might be used to when it comes to flats is leasehold. And what that means is that you've got somebody, the freeholder, could be the developer, could be someone else, who owns the underlying land, and they lease that land for a long period of time, hundreds of years, to the owners of each individual flat. And the owners of each flat pay ground rent in return. What commonhold does is basically remove the freeholder. So the owners of each unit jointly own the land that sits beneath the property. So that means that there's no lease term, it's just forever. And there's no ground rent to pay because there's nobody else who owns the ground. The owners of the flats own the ground. So in those respects, commonhold is better for the owners of the properties. Now, the reason this hasn't really taken off, one of the reasons, is that there's absolutely no incentive for developers to create this kind of tenure. Because if they create something as leasehold, it means that they can charge ground rent and they've got an income stream forever, or they can sell that off. Now, there's all this talk about leasehold reform, so maybe there'll be more of an incentive for developers to do things with commonhold in the future, and it will start to become more prominent. In your case, James, you found one of those elusive 50 or so blocks that actually has commonhold already. Is that something that you should be worried about? No, not really, because as I've said, it does have advantages. What you might fall foul of is just the fact that because it's so rare, people won't understand it. So you might have issues with your solicitor because solicitors are just not used to dealing with these. So even though it should be easier, it's possible that the conveyancing process will actually be trickier because it's more unusual. And way down the line, when you come to sell, maybe you'll have some challenges there just because it's something that people aren't used to. But that's about it in terms of drawbacks. So I wouldn't either use it as a reason to buy this particular flat or a reason not to buy this particular flat. If it works as an investment and it hits all your criteria, just go for it. Don't let the fact that it's commonhold put you off.
So that's us done. 2 questions, 2 answers. Boom. We'll be back with the Property Podcast on Thursday morning. And of course, we'll be back this time next week with Ask Rob and Rob. So until then, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.